Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another Arca Garage video. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the camshaft sensor on Alfa Romeo twin spark engines without replacing the cam belt. Now the issue that I have is that my Alfa 147 takes a long time to start, and the car is essentially in the safe mode. You can see it won't exceed 3000 RPM. This is actually one of the trickiest camshaft sensors to replace, and if you take your car to a garage, they're gonna replace both the water pump and the cam belt, and that job can cost you a lot of money. Today I'm gonna show you how to do it yourself and how to save big on this job. Just to show you what's going on, we're gonna hook up the car to a diagnostic tool first. I'm gonna read out the codes. And as you can see right here, we got P0340, which is the code for the camshaft sensor. However, before I replace it, I'm going to test everything out to make sure that the sensor itself is at fault. On the later twin spark engines, it is this blue connector. I want to test this side right here. You got one clip on the right side. I'm going to pull it up and remove this cable, and this cable actually goes from the ECU to the sensor. Alright, I got the negative cable from the multimeter connected to the negative side of the battery, and I'm gonna test out these three wires. Now the one on the right is not giving us anything, so that's gonna be ground. The one in the middle is giving us 5 volts, so that's probably gonna be the signal wire. And one on the left also gives us 5 volts, and that's gonna be our constant voltage. Just to make sure that everything is good, I'm gonna move the black cable from the multimeter to the positive side of the battery, and we're gonna test out that first wire on the right to make sure that the ground is good. And as you can see, we're getting 12 volts, which means that we got a good ground. Just to give you a heads up, you never want to test your voltages like this with these two probes. If you touch them together, there's a big chance that you're gonna damage your ECU. Last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna visually inspect the wiring to the sensor to make sure that it's not broken anywhere. Since everything checks out, I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble everything to get to the sensor. To remove this cover, we got a couple of visible screws right here. There's one at the front which holds this plastic piece. There it is right there. To make it easier for you, I'm gonna show you the locations like this. This one is located behind the pulley. We got these 3 at the top I showed you before. We got 2 more beneath, and here is the last one. Again, I'm showing you this just to give you the better idea of all of the locations of the screws. To remove the plastic piece, you'll also have to remove this serpentine belt and this pulley right here. Now, I already showed you before, it hides one of them screws, and it's located right here. Let's take a peek here, and this is why this cam sensor is notorious. You can see that it's located right behind the camshaft pulley. To get to the rest of the screws of the plastic, we're gonna remove this cover. You got 3 Phillips screws right there. To remove the belt, I'm gonna use a 15mm wrench. I'm gonna push the tensioner and remove the belt. However, I can't film it because I gotta use both my hands. Here you can see when I remove the pulley, there's one more screw right behind it. Now that I got everything out of the way, we can finally take a clear look at the sensor. It's held in place with these two Allen screws. I hope that you can see them clearly. There's the second one right there. Now to reach the second one, of course, I'm gonna have to turn the crankshaft, but they're not gonna pose any issues to remove. Before I try to remove it, you can see that I've got the cable that leads to the sensor. Now I'm gonna separate it using a flathead screwdriver, and I'm slowly gonna turn it clockwise as my brother is turning the crankshaft in the same position. One thing that I have to mention, you gotta be extremely careful when doing this. You don't want to damage anything. However, if you damage the sensor itself or the plastics on them, don't worry about it. It's not operational anyway. You're not gonna need it. However, make sure that you don't get any of the debris inside the timing belt or any of the tensioners or pulleys or anything like that. So I'm slowly just gonna pull it out like this. Of course, watch your fingers as well. And it is out. So the biggest issue I had was with this metal pin. So on the new sensor, I'm gonna grind it down so it's approximately half the size. I'm also gonna grind down this Phillips screw which holds the cable. Alright, time to put the new one back in. You can see that I've cut the connector of the cable and I've guided the cable behind the water pump. This is the part where you gotta be most careful because you don't want to damage the new sensor, you don't want to break the plastics or anything like that because they are kind of pricey. I paid maybe like 70 euros I think for this one. So the process is gonna be in reverse. We're gonna turn the crankshaft counterclockwise and I'm gonna slowly guide the sensor in its place. You can also see that the sensor it's basically upside down, but when it gets in the position it's gonna be spot on. You always want to use some thread glue with these screws which hold the sensor in place. They can get loose and fall into the timing belt and potentially damage it. Alright, I've put everything back together. I've also soldered these 3 wires as you can see. And now the wire is properly guided all the way to the connector to the ECU. I'm gonna erase the codes and now let's test out everything to make sure that our fix worked. I'm gonna start up the car and as you can see the engine light went away. I can exceed 3000 RPM and the car started right up. Anyway, that would be all for this video. I hope you find it useful. It has the potential to save you a lot of money, so if you liked it, hit that like button and support our channel by subscribing and by sharing our content with the rest of car enthusiasts.